Hello, and welcome. Thank you so much. I hit 500,000 views this month, in the last 28 days anyway, and 1,000 subscribers, and that is like made me over the moon. So thanks very much for all your support. Okay, so today I was aiming to do a video proving that not all cows are easily healed. I thought I'd pick one up, show you that she hadn't quite healed but she was slightly better, and how we could go about making sure that she was moving forward even though we hadn't managed to heal her on the first trim. Turned out she had healed, but to make sure that she kept that horn in good condition and didn't revert back to being lame, we applied a block. So now it's a video about how to apply blocks and how to apply shoes to cows' feet. So watch the video, let me know what you think, and hopefully you'll learn something. Okay, so today was supposed to be a video showing how this cow, although she'd been trimmed once, hadn't completely healed. I've done other videos that show that cows have healed in one go, but I wanted to prove that, like every other trimmer, not all cows can be expected to heal after one trim. This cow actually had healed though, but her feet were still soft. Well, sorry, the affected claw was still soft, so we needed to remove the existing block that was on there and not doing a suitable job, and put another one on that was going to make sure that horn progresses to firm, good, sound horn, and she doesn't revert back to being lame.
Okay, so they don't always heal in one go. I think this cow's had a white line problem here, possibly the start of an ulcer, and possibly the start of an ulcer last time she was trimmed. She's had a wooden block. It's nearly worn out. You can see the glue there. See the little square pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove that block because it's not really doing much good now. We're going to trim this back and see what the crack is. Let's play some music. Block's removed, and part of the reason to remove the block as well is she's obviously had it on quite a few weeks, so we need to make sure that this claw isn't now starting to have problems because it's bearing too much weight. So we're going to go ahead and take back the loose horn here and see what's happening. Okay, so I started this video on this cow because I thought that there was going to be still a fairly substantial problem. Turns out she's just about fixed. So what we're going to do is, it's a bit soft there and I really don't want it to relapse. I'm going to tidy this up, apply a block, and we'll take it off again in 2 or 3 weeks time. This pinky stuff is not, in another video someone commented that they thought it was getting very close to the flesh because of the pinkiness. This is actually just bruising, because when I must have trimmed this last time, I'd taken it right down to get rid of as much horn as possible to allow the white line defect to heal properly. So there's slight bruising. It might have been there before I trimmed her last time, no idea. So to apply the block properly, you need to make sure that we need to make sure this claw is fairly clean, slightly rough. I don't rough it up as much as everybody else seems to, and they seem to stay on, so cleanliness is the biggest thing. First thing we do is make sure it's totally dry. We're using a blowtorch to do that. We're not going to overheat her foot because we don't want to hurt her in any way. You can see she's not even flinching, so she can't feel that. this block slightly. We've dried and heated the block a bit. We've dried and heated the foot a little bit. And now we're going to heat the nozzle. So instead of heating the glue, I heat the nozzle because the nozzle will heat the glue as it comes through. Put the glue on like that, just wait sort of 5 or 10 seconds so that the air starts to harden it. Put it on, squidgy it back and forward. The squidginess gets it into all the little gaps. And then it's important not to really push too hard yet. Wait another 10 or 15 seconds. La 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 la, and then push harder. Now you'll see I've actually set this slightly further back than the toe, because if you put it close to the toe, she won't get as much use out of it, because by the time her foot grows and it grows this way, the block will be in the wrong position and she'll start walking back on the heel, which would extend this flexor tendon that comes right the way down here, and she wouldn't be comfortable at all. Sometimes you put a block on and you think you've done it in the right place. Please be quiet, cow. Sometimes you put a block on and you think you've done it in the right place, she walks out of the crush and she's walking back on her heel. Best thing to do is put her straight back in the crush, otherwise she'll end up lame because of that. Now, that is actually hard already, so we can let it down. Starting the video was, didn't think this was going to have healed in one go, but it appears it has. It is still soft here, so you can see the sponginess as I push down, but it is good sound horn, so we're not going to touch this anymore. We want to leave it as intact as possible, but we don't want it to be insulted further. So the block is going to lift this claw off the ground, and this claw should take 95 to 100% of the weight. We'll see when she walks out what it's like. But yeah, this will be removed in 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and this should have hardened up by then and should be good to go.
Well, she had a wooden one on. She's completely worn it out. These cows are on a pretty aggressive surface. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this wooden block. We're going to check underneath that block, make sure that there's nothing untoward happening, because obviously we've overloaded that claw to make sure that poor claw had some healing time. Once it's removed, we're going to make sure everything's fine. Then one of the most important points when you apply a block is that the foot is flat. There can't be undulations, can't be convex or concave, because if it is, there's not going to be good adheration. So what we do is we trim it right back, rough it up slightly. I don't rough it up as much as most people seem to do. Then dryness and cleanliness are key factors in this. If it's not dry, if it's not clean, it's not going to stick. You can't stick things to water, you can't stick things to but you can stick things to a good, dry, firm, clean surface. So we're going to go ahead, make sure it's all clean and dry and flat. Now that it's like that, we'll prepare our glue. So I'm using cheap glue because it's nice and warm just now, so why bother with the expensive stuff. So we'll put a new nozzle on the tube. We're going to get a block and we're going to heat that block up, dry it off slightly, and we're going to dry off the claw that we're preparing. So we'll dry it off, heat it up very slightly, then heat up the nozzle and go ahead and apply the glue. Now, I use a blowtorch, as a lot of hoof trimmers do. Some use heat guns, some use paint stripping guns, all sorts of different methods. I use a blowtorch because it's nice, quick, easy and reliable. It never runs out, it doesn't break. Well, it does run out, but hardly ever. When we dry the foot, you've got to make sure you don't go too close. I use the blue bottle of gas as opposed to the yellow. The blue has a slightly wider flame and it's not as intense a heat. We're looking to dry it and slightly warm it. Don't bloody cook the foot. She's gonna hurt a lot if you do that. So no singeing of it or anything like that. You can see this cow in the video isn't flinching. It's not hurting her. She probably can't even feel it, to be honest. So we'll dry off the hoof, make sure it's completely dry and slightly warmed. Then we'll heat and dry the block. And personally, I wave the heat stick up and down the nozzle so that as the glue passes through the nozzle, it heats itself, it's nice and warm and ready to set rapidly. Then I apply the glue to the foot because that way I can make sure I get more glue in certain areas that are maybe slightly lower that I couldn't get completely flat, make sure it's evenly dispersed. Then push the block on gently at first after allowing the glue to start to go slightly tacky, only takes 5 seconds. Once the block's in place, leave it another 10 seconds or so. Give it a squidge around. That makes sure that all of the glue gets into the little cracks and the undulations on both the claw and the block. You don't want it just sitting on those high surfaces. After about 10 seconds, apply more pressure now that there's a bit of firmness. If you apply the pressure too quickly, the glue is just going to spurt out the side and you're not going to have a good, strong fixation. That's it, pretty much. Make sure that there's probably a finger's width at the front of the claw, at the toe, because if you don't, that cow's going to rock back on that block if it's not sufficient size. Plus, if you do that, you're going to give the cow longer on that block before it sort of progresses down the sole of the horn. It won't move, but the horn itself will move, which travels the block with it, obviously. So make sure it's set back, bit of finger's width, nice and perpendicular or square to the actual wall of the claw itself, and then give it a good 2 minutes to dry. I go and trim something else or go and get some cows in or do whatever. You might as well give it an extra minute than what you think it needs, because this cow needs this block. They literally save cows' lives. In some cases, probably not this one, but in some cases if you don't apply a block, the cow, she won't last another couple of months. So what kind of blocks are there? There's wooden blocks, plastic blocks, rubber blocks, all different kinds. I use wooden ones and I use polyurethane ones, which are the orange ones. These are traditional blocks, so you can be put anywhere you like on the foot. You also get shoes, so more like clogs, so they actually encapsulate the foot. I don't like those. Personally, I don't like them because they move so much with the foot and they stay on far too long, in my opinion. Other people like them and they get great results, but it relies on them being taken off in a more timely fashion. So it's much more important that the cow's revisited and that these things don't lapse at all. Otherwise the cow can overextend, and the deep flexor tendon, which is like that cord that goes right down the back of their leg, can elongate, and once it's elongated, turn to natural length. So that's the cow walking with a really shallow foot angle, so it's gonna put her pastern and her heel into the slurry far more than she should be. Plus she's just not going to be comfortable, is she? So I don't use those encapsulated ones, but like I say, some people do and they're great. I like to use the traditional block because you can move it wherever you like round about the foot. You can place it really far back, and you can put two on top of each other to give them extra height. They're much easier to shape with the grinder. Sometimes you'll see me in videos, I'll actually remove the front portion of the block at a 45 degrees angle, so that when the cow rolls over, when she's leaving, when the foot's leaving the ground, that is, she rolls over much more comfortably and the block is more likely to stay. When you apply a block, if the block's overhanging on the back of the heel, it's much more likely to snap off, so it'll have a lever effect, and a lot of the time these blocks are subjected to maybe 150 kilos. If it's a bull, it's going to be a lot more. So if there's a lever action, it could be 200 kilos, and you've just got that thin layer of glue that's applied there trying to keep this block attached to the foot, which is going to struggle to do. Try and keep it over the heel, but with that finger depth behind the toe. If you can't keep it from going over the heel, then trim round the back of it so that there's only a couple of millimeters hanging over. If there's plenty of horn there, if it's not up on the periople horn, so the heel bulb, if it's not too much on there, you can put a little bit of glue underneath it to support it as well. The important things to remember are: A, make sure it's nice and flat, it needs to be nice and dry, and it needs to be super clean. Make sure the block is completely dry and slightly warmed up. Then make sure your glue is either nice and warm or you warm the nozzle. The blocks can't just be placed on, they need to be placed on, situated, give 10 seconds for it to start to go tacky, and then apply pressure and give it a good 2.5 to 3 minutes at least to dry. If it's not completely hard, don't let it go. Just lower the cow's leg a little bit and let it stand for another 5 minutes. You don't want that leg stuck right up in the air for extended periods of time. It's not good for you or the cow. She won't thank you for it. So anyway, that's me. If there's any questions, leave them in the comments and I promise I will answer them. Cheers guys, bye.